This is just going to be a test recording. Well, this is different. This isn't what I normally do. This is very much an experiment. So I guess this is where I start just to talk. Well, I haven't been putting up that many videos recently. I was on a bit of a roll at the beginning of the summer, but now fall's almost starting to set in. It's nearly September now. And I felt that it would be alright if I decided to speak with you a little bit more unscripted, a little bit less directed, more off the cuff, just to compile a few ideas that I've been having. And in my mind, it would be better to discuss things that aren't necessarily anime related, but are more related to what I do on YouTube in terms of YouTube video making and the state of YouTube video making amongst my peers, amongst the people who are also in the YouTube anime review game or the anime analysis game. In general, I feel like there's a lot to discuss, a lot that can be improved, and personally I would like it to be known that just because I'm saying these things doesn't mean I'm some kind of super genius. I'm not the super genius of the anime community. I am not the end-all be-all of making videos. I know that, and I want people to know that. I'm not some kind of expert. I just think I have some ideas on how people can improve, especially beginners. This is very much directed to beginners. And I think the first thing I can discuss are opinions. And when I say opinions, I mean the reason people view me, especially when I talk on J-Taku, as a strange oddity of sorts, almost, is because I try my best to consolidate the opinions that I've noticed around the anime community, to view how everyone else is viewing it, and not to be contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, but to assess and acknowledge what other people are thinking and think to myself why they're thinking that. You know, why do people like the Double Cowboy Bebop so much? Why do people think Ufotable is one of the best looking studios? Why do people love Haruhi, I guess? Just why do people gravitate towards certain types of shows? Why do people put down certain types of shows? Why do people put down certain concepts that are present in anime? That's what the fan service video was about. The video wasn't necessarily me saying we need more fan service in anime because it's great when, you know, girls get their tits out, because it's not necessarily the best. I'm just saying you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I feel like a lot of the time in the anime community, because we gravitate to certain opinions and certain ideas that become commonplace, mostly because they're either professed by people at the top. You've got ideas that are professed by people who have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and they end up using those ideas that they take from those people and injecting them into their own work. So I feel like the better newcomers are the people who come into it with their own ideas, because I've been sent so many videos from my fans, and I know people who have done this are watching this particular video right now, people who are into video making and they want to get into video making. And I remember I heard someone say in one of their videos that the ending is paramount, and the idea is like, you know, they're riffing off Tristan, and that's fine. I used to riff off people when I started out too. Everyone has inspirations, everyone has a reason they make videos the way they do. And I think it says a lot about the community that certain ideas are starting to become more popular. Anyway, so I think it would be great if we assessed those quote-unquote opinions, because there's certain things that are commonplace, there's certain things that everyone has internalized as being the right way to look at anime, especially among the reviewer scene. People always make videos. They'll start off a channel and they'll make a video, something like top 10 action anime or top 10 English dubs, and it's always the same shows that appear. Or when they're discussing great things that anime have done, it's always the same shows. It's like in the lexicon of anime watchers in the West, especially anime watchers who are very prominent on YouTube, there's always a select pool of shows that everyone goes back and forth between, and I feel like that's not necessarily the greatest way to go about it, especially since we're in an age where we can watch 50 to 100 shows a year that get produced from Japan straight to us. And it, not necessarily that people are watching 50 to 100 shows a year, but I'm saying the stuff that is available to us. We, in 2015, we have more anime available to watch as it comes out than any other anime watching generation, and I think that is both a great thing, and I also think it's taken for granted. It's a great thing that's taken for granted, because new ideas and new approaches to making anime are being brought into the fray, and people are reluctant to be open to what these new shows do, because in their minds the anime's best years are behind them, and I don't like that sentiment, especially since it harkens back to the whole what is the golden age of anime, and I don't think it's past us. I think it's either in the future, I think we're living in it, I think it was last year, I think it was a couple years ago. People put me down for saying, oh, I didn't like a lot of the shows that came out last year, and I think this year is much better than last year when it comes to anime. That's mostly down to personal preference, and I don't think that no good shows came out last year. Some of my favorite modern shows came out last year. Zankyo no Terra, Ping Pong, Bahamut, great stuff. Great stuff was made last year. Space Dandy, and that's been a huge game changer, especially in the way anime is distributed in the West. Broadcast dubs wouldn't be a thing, in my opinion, if Space Dandy hadn't broken the mold and said, hey, we're gonna put an English language anime on TV at the same time, not a month or a year after the Japanese version is airing. And I think that's a really bold move and a really interesting idea. I also think that a lot of people are starting to put down a certain new way of talking about anime, because when I first got into watching anime reviews, they were just that. The person would have a show, they would go give a play-by-play of what they thought of the show. Is the animation good? Are the characters good? Is the writing good? Is the music good? They would have like a very strict play-by-play, and it was basically the formula of film consumer reviews that were popularized of people like, even I think it goes all the way back to Ebert, the way he used to review film, the five thumbs up type of thing. So I think that form of looking at anime and making videos about anime is starting to change, and I don't know where it started to change. I don't know why, but there's a lot of people nowadays who don't necessarily think making videos about just anime are the way to go. They are starting to make videos about concepts present in anime, and that's something ever since the beginning of my channel, that's something I've always striven to do. Something I think I do marginally well sometimes, and it's something I hope to continue to do. Talk about concepts and not just talking about shows. And that has been derided by a lot of people, and not to name names, not to call out people, but yes, by people who I'm close to, people who I call my friends, people who I agree with on a lot of stuff, but in this particular case I don't agree with, because nowadays people are starting to poke fun at the idea of anime analysis, because they feel like it's not being done right, and they feel like it's not being discussed properly. And to be honest, I don't really care about people who aren't doing it right, because if you want to get nitpicky about it, how many people don't do reviews right? How many people don't do top 10s right? Analysis is just as valid as any other type of anime video. And this goes back to the idea of opinions, because now you've got people who only think the way Tristan makes videos is right, or the way Gaunt made videos is right, or the way Holden makes videos is right. And I don't agree with that. I don't necessarily think I'm better than those guys. I'm not. In many different aspects, they surpass me by leaps and bounds. And in some aspects, I feel like I do things differently and sometimes better than they do. But I don't necessarily think there is one rigid, by the numbers way on how to make an anime video. And I feel like people aren't necessarily looking at that and analyzing, you know, I don't know, like why do people not necessarily like shonen? Why do people get angry about things like, you know, main characters who don't necessarily lose and stuff? Like, those kinds of concepts are interesting to delve into. Those kinds of concepts aren't necessarily things you just say, oh, well, it's boring to see a character win all the time. Why? Why is it boring to see a character win all the time? If you go back to the dawn of genre fiction, there would be serialized epics of characters who would be written in a story, and they would always come out on top every single time. Every single time it's kind of like watching old Popeye cartoons. They all had a formula. Popeye would try and, you know, do one act, and some person, thing, or whatever would stop him, and it would be like, oh yeah, Popeye's gonna get out the spinach now, and he's gonna whoop this dude's ass. And that's what he would do, and you would still love it. So, to put down shows that go with that formula, why is it wrong? Why is it bad? You have to analyze what in one thing makes a certain work, like, have a certain quality that people want to see. It's those kinds of things that people don't necessarily think about. People don't sit down and think to themselves, what makes us like this? People think these qualities exist in this work, and in past works that have existed that people have said aren't good, they don't work. So I don't like it when a main character gets a power up and kicks everyone's ass, because that's what Naruto does, and I've been conditioned. And I'm not trying to say that people don't have their own opinions, but it's very obvious that people usually latch on and usually express their opinions through others. You know, the idea that, oh, main character is winning all the time is a shonen thing, and shonen is bad, shonen's garbage, they run too long. You know, they don't work if they run too long. You have to have a self-contained story. You have to have a story with a beginning, middle, and end. And even that concept is a personal preference type of thing. People love seeing shows or serializations that go on forever. People like being comforted by that kind of thing. Why do you think One Piece is so popular? One Piece isn't meant for people to consume the beginning, middle, and end. One Piece is a chock load of beginnings, middles, and ends within a self-contained narrative, and it's, you know, it's popular. I don't read One Piece, but I know people who do, and I know people who love it, and I know why those people love it. So I feel like people don't analyze things right, and I feel like people put down notions before actually thinking about the certain notions. This is just, it's just me talking, I guess. This is just me giving ideas off the top of my head, and it's just me. It might not make any sense to you, and if it doesn't, then that's fine. I apologize for wasting 15 to 20 minutes of your life if it really didn't. But this is just, you know, something I felt I wanted to talk about, and just something I felt is a concept that people don't necessarily talk about. It's, you know, and let me know if you want me to do more, you know, one take editorials, I guess. Is that what this is going to be called? One take editorial? I don't know. Anyway, so let me know if you guys like this, and if there are any concepts that I brought up in this particular video that I didn't express properly, that you would like me to express in a better fashion, let me know. I'd love to make another one of these, or even a full-blown actual editorial based on anything I said that might, necessarily be interesting or might make for a good concept to go over. So with that said, sayonara minasan, and thanks for watching.